of sucks when you win and nobody gives you any damn credit, right? That's where we're at with the Kansas City Chiefs going back to the Super Bowl. This is going to be fun tonight. This is your show. We're just answering the questions. We are remote tonight. Welcome to RGR Football, the southern version, as we're down here in Mobile, Alabama. Dan's at one place, I'm at another, and we're going to try to make this all work. So welcome in. I hope you guys are doing well. It is Victory Monday. It is preparation to go back to the Super Bowl. I'm still letting it kind of sink in a little bit, Dan, as I've been able to rewatch some today. And obviously, we are both getting ready to cover Reese's Senior Bowl. We'll be there and we'll have content for you this week as we go along. It'll probably be in the form of shorts and maybe some other little things as I can get some stuff done, but we will find it out. You guys, we're going to have to keep it a little bit tight tonight. Super Chats will definitely get an answer. I see some of them are already coming in. Minotaur, you're the man. Nice to see you. But I have limited visibility, and so does Dan at this point. So if you don't know us, this is Dan Harms. I'm Ryan Tracy. This is RGR Football, the draft, and obviously team building, but predominantly Chiefs. So if you're not a Chiefs fan, if you're a Niners fan, welcome in. Be nice, damn it. And then we will go from there. Dan, I mean, the shock is kind of worn off, right? And yet we get to see them go back. What are your thoughts today that were different from last night?
My thoughts today were that the Chiefs defense just shut out the Ravens. Like, they are the ones that forced the Ravens into an uncomfortable position. Obviously, having a lead with Patrick Mahomes always makes everyone a little uncomfortable. It just does. And that really did, because they ran 8 times with their running backs in the whole game. That was a direct correlation of what Patrick Mahomes does. He changes your game plan. He makes you think you have to go punch for punch with him. And it plays right into what the Chiefs want to do, which is blitz and play really good coverage on the back end. There were so many times in this game where they were blanketed. All the receivers were blanketed. They had nowhere to throw the football to until Lamar made some crazy voodoo magic happen in the backfield and was able to break something off or throw the football. Honestly, their big play, a coverage bust, which doesn't typically happen, and a pass that deflected up at the line of scrimmage and fell into Lamar Jackson's hands. Things you don't see happen a whole lot. And then we had Nick Bolton on Zay Flowers for a touchdown after initially everyone was covered. So what I take away from this game is that the Chiefs defense has done a great job of taking what the Chiefs offense does and then forcing their game plan on them, in case, the Bills were a little bit differently. But it just shows you how they've built this team and how Steve Spagnuolo is, in my opinion, the MVP of the season for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Hey, that's completely fair. And Jeremy, I get where you're coming from. We just gave you a show. We're in the same room over Christmas. We're going to try to make that happen at some point this week. But yes, we're staying in different areas of town and that kind of thing. So we're going to try to keep it rolling. Obviously, we were in different cities last night, so we're going to keep trying that. For those of you adding the Super Chats, very much appreciate you. Toad and everybody, we are going to get to you as we get rolling here in a minute. Papa Bear, welcome to you. Nice to see you, buddy. It comes to me that after all is said and done, who are the elite quarterbacks in this league right now? I would still call Justin Herbert. Didn't make the playoffs. Joe didn't make the playoffs.
Got hurt.
Josh, see ya. Lamar, see ya. It's a Patrick Mahomes league. That's it. There is no one else, and there's no more argument. And I think what you saw from Talk Radio today and Talk TV was the final acknowledgement of, I guess we can't put it off anymore. There isn't anyone better than him. Get over it. I heard Dynasty more today than any other day outside of coming out of my mouth that we've heard yet. And that was a little bit surprising to me.
I think it's just that, like the final realization. They thought, all right, this team, they haven't been able to do anything right all season. They're going to stumble their way into the postseason, and then they'll just get beaten by somebody. I don't know who it's going to be. Maybe it's going to be Buffalo. Maybe it'll be Baltimore. Whoever it is, they'll just kind of fade away this season. And we'll be like, well, Mahomes can't lift everybody and continuously do what he's done. News flash. Here we are. Super Bowl is here. It's in Vegas, and Patrick Mahomes with an elite defense this year. With an elite defense. That's the big thing here. It's a young and elite defense that's still relatively cheap. That should scare everybody. It should. And if it doesn't, you're doing it wrong. Because we know that when they want to, they'll just throw resources at a position group. They will. So this draft, this offseason, wide receiver, offensive line, you could see multiple different ways of them throwing players, throwing draft picks at the wide receiver room and at the offensive line, and trying to get all of that fixed, as they did with the offensive line after the Super Bowl and with the cornerback room and the defensive end room. We are seeing a team that knows the style of play that they want out of their players. And if they have an issue during a season and then the offseason, they just throw at it. They throw at it, and it's young, and they develop. We'll see if they can develop wide receivers. We have Rashee Rice. We have something going there right now with his development. So there's a little bit there. But right now, a defense that's still cost control. It's effective. It's elite. And then now Rashee Rice says, first year he's a rookie. He's still got 3 more years on his contract. And they're going to throw more pieces at this. So I'm extremely happy with what we've seen, because there was a point in this season in November where we had a live stream and we said, we don't feel this team can get back to the Super Bowl. We both made that proclamation because it didn't feel like it.
Yep.
They proved us all wrong. And I know a lot of you didn't lose faith in them, and that's awesome. Congratulations. You all deserve what's happened here. But this does go to show you that when you have the right leadership, you have the right coaches, and you have the right quarterback, doesn't matter.
Yeah. I mean, it's not even a lack of faith. It's that you have to see the road to progress to get there. And that's what was the hardest part for part of it this season, was to seeing how they could get there. And kudos to Rashee in coming along and accelerating the second half of the season, particularly the last month of the regular season, just getting to that point where he can be that guy. Very impressive. And certainly I agree with you. They're going to throw more guys at it. And not just that, but I do think there's probably a tight end. There might even be one here in Mobile right now that we may see in a Chiefs uniform. There's certainly one in the draft that will end up in a Chiefs uniform, because I do think it's not just the wide receiver, it's the pass catcher group as a whole. If anything has taught us anything about Kels this year, it's that you got to be able to help him some. That week off in week 18, as much as he didn't want to do it, as much as he sacrificed another 1,000-yard season, it was to be able to do what he did last night. And they got to continue to help him. And that does mean personnel. So we're going to get here to your questions. And I want to start right off the bat, because the other giant news of the day is that Charles Omenihu will not play in the Super Bowl. As much as he was adamant he would play last night, it's because he has torn his ACL. And ACLs are always an iffy situation, because sometimes you can feel really painful and not have ruptured it completely. And sometimes you can walk around on it not really realizing that you had blown it. And that seems to be what the case was here. It's tough. And Chad's asking, because he's hurt so late in the season, will that make him miss next season? He definitely will miss time next season. Don't expect him for camp. You won't see him OTAs at all, is my guess. He may be on the sidelines, participating. But here's the bigger thing. And I do want to get to Gina as well. You guys were asking a lot about Omenihu up front. I wanted to see him get there too, especially against his old team. We're going to get to this part of it. But here's the big thing. Charles Omenihu is not just the edge rusher for this season. Charles Omenihu is the pass rushing defensive tackle for next season if Chris cannot become an extended contract player on this roster. That's the bigger issue for me today, as I just kind of roll it around like this. This hoses their plans for next season as well, which means D tackles here in Mobile this week are going to be more important. D tackles in the combine are going to be more important. You have to have more options. And maybe Daniel, I'll tell you what you think. This makes me feel like there's a little bit more money to go after Christian Wilkins, which is what I'm hoping for.
That, but it also might give Chris Jones more leverage. Yeah. Because we do expect them to at least tag him. Like, we do expect that, but I don't think that they're going to throw a contract out the window. I think that they're still going to try to make something happen, and that gives Chris Jones more negotiation at the table because, again, we do believe that Charles Omenihu was a part of that plan to separate themselves. And if he could, I mean, obviously every ACL injury is different, but he could miss the entirety of 2024. That is not outside of the question. And that's not just, again, your defensive tackle on pass rush downs. He's a starting defensive end. And that is a big hole that you now have to fill.
Yeah.
So Chris Jones is going to come to the table saying, hey, guys, I know it sucks that we lost, Charles Omenihu, but off of back-to-back Super Bowl victories, and I mean, I was a huge part of that, and you guys kind of need me, so pony up.
Pay me. I think you absolutely could be right. And to Gina's question, and thank you for it, Gina, we appreciate you guys, as well as everybody in the super chats and the new members. We're coming to you, I promise. I can see that there's a list here.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I can't see all the questions tonight. It's just going too fast on this tiny button screen. So if you want a question in tonight, go ahead and throw the super chat in there. It doesn't matter what the amount is. We'll definitely answer it, but it's probably going to be limited mostly to that and a few other questions that we got early. So Gina wants to know who's going to fill in. Is it FAU? And I don't know how you feel, but I'll tell you my gut feeling is that if he was able to contribute, he probably would have already been on the game day rosters. It feels like it's going to be Malik Herring for me. Let Mike Dana bump out, rotate it that way. Maybe you do something like BJ Thompson. It just doesn't feel like FAU's ready. Where are you at?
I think he's going to be active for the Super Bowl. I don't think that BJ Thompson is going to play, mostly because he doesn't have game snaps. Yeah. FAU has game snaps. He does. I think that they just were more concerned with getting the guys that have played in the postseason in those critical situations and just kind of shortening their active roster for guys that have that experience and letting FAU grow that way. They don't have that opportunity this season or this game. And I do think it's going to be Malik Herring in that role early with Mike Dana, but they need another guy. They need another pass rusher because I'll be honest, Malik Herring, for everything he is in the Super Bowl, he's not offering you a ton as a pass rusher unless you're going to condense him down and rush next to Chris Jones, which I'm okay with. I'm okay with that.
I am too.
I'm good with that. You do that with him and Mike Dana. They're gonna have a plan here. Even if you want to rotate Turk Wharton on the outside, that's another thing too. He could play some of those reps on pass rush. So they have enough bodies to make it work. The thing is, someone's going to be sacrificed to Trent Williams. It's going to be Mike Dana. It's going to be Malik Herring. But you're not going to see Chris Jones, George Karlaftis lined up against Trent Williams at all. They will not face him. Someone will be sacrificed, and they'll be doing other things elsewhere. Charles Omenihu would have been so valuable in this game because he would have been able to just cause so much problems on the inside. I think we might see George Karlaftis kick inside this week or the next week with Chris Jones a little bit more. Get a little bit more what he did as a rookie. But I do think Felix is going to play in this game, and he might be on the outside next to Chris Jones, or if they bump down George Karlaftis, because I'm still on the same train. He has the pass rush acumen. You don't have to play him on rundowns. You don't have to do that. Just throw him out there when you kind of know that it's a pass rush and just let him figure it out. If you need to, and that's the thing. If you need rest, someone needs rest.
Yeah, fair enough. We're going to monitor this really closely this week. Now, the Chiefs had meetings today on Monday, and they're going to be off in the next couple of days. This is the way Andy usually does it in the Super Bowl year. And I'd just like to be able to say that because we have enough evidence now to know what he does in the Super Bowl year.
Right.
But I don't know if you're going to be right or I'm going to be right. There's one of the few things that we actually really disagree on, and I'm interested to see what the staff thinks because we should get an indication of that here before the end of the week. But we will let you guys know. And the sidecar to that is the Shark thing. Could Frank Clark come back? I think it would be a little bit poetic after all the clamoring that Chris Jones has done. If Frank signed a one-game contract for, what's the minimum? $400K? They could probably pull that off. But, I mean, I wouldn't be against it. Yeah. Come on back. We're going to need you for about 50 snaps, bro. You want a ring?
At this point, I do think they might have to. Again, if they don't feel comfortable with putting FAU out there, we know one thing. Frank will give you a game. Frank will give you a game. And it's just the fact that it's a Super Bowl and he knows this defense, it makes a lot of sense. It does. It would, again, be not just poetic. It would be justice a little bit, too. Like, it would be Chris Jones. I've been asking for this guy back this whole season. And in the Super Bowl, what would be more poetic for you? Having him get a sack in the Super Bowl or like one of these vintage Frank Clark run stuffs, like a 2-yard, 3-yard loss on Christian McCaffrey? What would be more poetic? Because it feels like him coming in and maybe on the first play of the game, just getting like a tackle in the backfield would just be like, y'all, I have one game in me.
And that's probably what it is. I'm all for it if they choose to do it, and I think that there's something there. The edge that he brings and the fact that he played him in the last Super Bowl, there's something there. When it comes to the shit talking that's going to happen before the ball game, there is no second to Frank Clark, so why not? Thank you, Gina. Jonathan, talk me down. I'm 85% confident winning the Super Bowl. Ravens were the best team, but the better run game, Andy. If we limit McCaffrey, I'm not scared of their wide receivers. Just play like we've been playing, win by 7. I see what you mean there. In terms of like, I respect Ayuk's game. I do feel that LJ is up to the task. I do feel that the secondary receivers on that roster are corrallable by Trent McDuffie. The X factor for me is Dio probably out of the backfield or on some of those things where he's not really a wide receiver. That's the X factor for me right now as we sit today. We'll talk about it more on Friday, folks.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun to figure out what they're going to do, because I'm telling you right now, Willie Gay Jr. is going to be back. He's going to play in this game, and that's a matchup I want to see, Willie Gay versus Debo. I want to see that all day, because we know that they want to get Debo on the motions, the little quick screens, and we know one thing about Willie Gay is he is not afraid to run downhill and hit somebody. So that could be a high-speed collision. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm not going to give my, confidence level on this Super Bowl. There's a lot to talk about. There's a lot to go through. And the simple fact of the matter is it's a very explosive offense. This is going to be one of the best offenses that they've played. Bills, Ravens, 49ers offenses. This is a gauntlet of offenses. But they have the horses on defense to play with them. They just do. And it's going to be a lot of fun to see what happens. And like I said, we'll get to it at some point. But Jonathan, I appreciate you trying to make us give away all of our answers and clues to the test right now.
We'll definitely have more for you on Friday. And then next week, we'll be back to a normal week as we get ready for that final, I love saying final, game plan live stream on the Friday before the Super Bowl. You will have everything that we have, as if we were cooking up the game plan ourselves. Ozzy, thank you, buddy. Did you see Drew Tranquil's tweet showing Andy's recruiting pitch to get him to KC? See red and think Super Bowls would be a great shirt. Okay, now I got to take another damn picture. I did not see that. Did you, Dan?
I didn't see that. I haven't been able to see as much of the Chiefs winning after party stuff as I would have liked to, because obviously we did the live and I've been in Mobile now. I was driving yesterday, so it was in this morning. So there's been a lot of stuff I've missed out on.
Yeah, and that happens to me. Usually I'm driving children to practices, but it's been about adapting back down to the Senior Bowl. And one thing that people are going to tell you is, Ryan, why are you wasting your time on the Senior Bowl? It's because you guys know that as soon as the Chiefs win the Super Bowl, we're right into draft content, because we've already been working on it. And that's what the other half of this channel, Rogue Analytics, NFL 33, it's what we do all year round. So if you're new to us, second pitch, hit the like, hit the sub, get that bell clicked so you get notifications, because we're going to have stuff for you all year long, especially around the Chiefs, but also in general. And here's the great thing. Nobody else has to deal with us. There's about 6 people in this town this week that are dealing with covering a Super Bowl team and covering this Senior Bowl event. We're lucky to be those people, and we enjoy that. So bear with us, as it will sometimes be a little bit hectic, but it's the way it happens. Ozzy, a scale of 1 to 10, how worried should you be about a Chris Conley revenge game? And why is it 10, Dan?
It's not 10. I'm sorry, Dr. Ozzy. It's not 10. I'm not too worried about Chris Conley doing much against this defense, to be very honest with you. But those revenge games can be tricky. I wouldn't be surprised if he had a catch in this game, though. I'll just say that.
I agree. The youngins haven't seen him yet. LJ can out jump him by 1/2 of an inch, as I remember. Jalen Watson can't. Josh Williams can't. So, I agree with you. He at least makes a stab. And don't get me wrong. I don't know that it's revenge so much as a, hey, old pal, nice to see you. I still feel Conley feels well about the Chiefs, and I feel good about him as well.
His best years of his career.
Right. Kev, thanks, buddy. We appreciate the support. I
Thank you,
feel
Kev.
as though that the Chiefs let their foot off the gas and dared Lamar to win through the air. Also, what are the Niners' weaknesses? I mean, in terms of I don't think the defense let off. I do feel like Andy probably wasn't as aggressive as he could have been, as we know that Andy does. I do feel like Mahomes was still there to take shots, though. And I think nothing illustrates that more than the last big catch by MVS. Like, that was Patrick deciding that, hey, I've got the look that I want. I'm not going to screw around. So I wouldn't say that they let off the gas so much as Andy just wasn't really being over aggressive. He didn't have it to the floor. But,
Yeah.
A, do you agree? And what do you think of the Niners?
Yeah, I don't disagree at all. I think that they just understood the situation. The defense was cracking down. They did what they could, in my opinion, in the first half, and they showed their hand. And after they showed their hand, the Ravens were like, fine, we're going to stop you from doing that. And they did. Be honest, if they tried to take deep shots earlier in that game, Mahomes probably gets sacked more because the protection was starting to break down. And they were just hammering all those little wide receiver screens the Chiefs were throwing at him. So it was a very good adjustment on their part. And on the 49ers' weaknesses, right now, they are a weak run team. From a defensive perspective, they do not like to be physically imposed upon. They just don't. And their pass rush hasn't been elite. It hasn't been. It's just kind of Nick Bosa and the Bosettes. No one else really does much. And we've seen Andy Reid game plan for Nick Bosa. I'm telling you right now, Andy Reid's going to have another great game plan for Nick Bosa, who was a Mad Hatter of a pass rusher. He does not have a real plan. He is more of a wind-up toy. He goes and does his thing. He does not have a plan. He just kind of tries to win. So they're in a pretty tough situation with a 2 weeks to game plan Andy Reid. And I think that they're going to have some issues with the defense. There are a lot of athletes in the second level, and they still have some very, very good players to not underestimate on that front four. Just you can't do that. But I think that the secondary is overrated. I think you can throw on them pretty easily, and the play action game is where it's at. You force those linebackers, especially after you run the ball, which the Lions showed you to affect. You run duo at them over and over and over again, and then those linebackers. So there are some weaknesses there. I also think that on the opposite side, for everything that Brock Purdy gives to them, from a better athletic standpoint than Jimmy Garoppolo, from the arm talent down the field on the run, it's not great, but it's better than what Jimmy G provided. He was more accurate down the field. The Lions also showed his size is a problem. If you muddy up that middle of the pocket, he can't see. Those balls are going to come out, and they're going to sail. But also, keep doing it. Spags is going to keep blitzing. And the Lions didn't blitz in the second half. They didn't blitz.
It doesn't make any sense, does it?
I was so confused.
Yeah, like if it's working, don't stop. Make them stop you. It's a tenet of football across the board. I will say this. When I look at the pass rush for the Niners, it is Bosa. Juwan Taylor actually has the athleticism to hang with him. It's going to be about hand fighting, in my opinion, between those two. We're going to preview that coming up next week for certain, as well as this week here later on the show and later on the Friday stream, which we should both be home by then, knock on wood. I definitely will be, and if there's a timing thing, you'll see me, and then we'll follow up next week like we usually do. But I will say Eric Armstead had 4 pressures. Hargrave and Kinlaw both pitched in as well. So it's not like a day off. Certainly, I think this Ravens game was more difficult for Nick Allegretti, who gets a huge thank you for what he did. I didn't find the media from it about his post-game reaction until today, but if you guys missed it on Twitter, I did post some stuff about him and just how epic his performance was. He's not going to see that kind of defensive front. I think Armstead is somebody at his age that he can deal with a little bit better, so I'm not as nervous.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Okay. Doctor Who, nice to see you. Do you guys think that the Ravens lineman who clotheslined Mahomes will get fined? Shouldn't he have been tossed from the game? I must have missed that play. I haven't completed the rewatch here. Obviously, I was traveling, so talk to me.
It was an accident. He saw Mahomes out of his peripheral vision. You know, you stick an arm out trying to maybe make a tackle. It was an accident. No, I don't think he should have been tossed out, and he's not going to get fined. Again, it was incidental contact, but it was penalized, so there shouldn't be any issue there.
Okay, gotcha. Thanks, Doctor Who. Minotaur, as always, nice to see you, buddy. 5 years ago, George Kittle vowed that he would be back with a vengeance after the loss from Super Bowl 54. Not only did he not make it back, they got a rematch. What do you think the key to stopping the Niners' offense is? And I will tell you, it is jacking the periphery. It is attacking their tackles, which is tough to do with Trent Williams, because Debo's going to hinge off of getting to the edge, in my opinion. I know he can go at the middle, but McCaffrey will slide through the middle. Both of them, I feel, hurt you more from the hashes out than the hashes in. What's your big concern?
It's preventing them from the play action game, because if they can run the ball well and hit those deep inbreakers that they want to do, that's their focal point of the offense. Really, it's what they get going. They run the ball and they run play action and they hit inbreakers over the middle of the field on one read. That's what this is. So Christian McCaffrey is a do-it-all running back, but their offense predominantly is best running wide zone, running to the outside, and allowing him then to find those cutback lanes. That's all I'm going to say. It's just, you got to be able to stop that.
And we'll take a look for that more in depth as we come closer to the ball game. It's kind of nice having 2 weeks to do this, especially when we're down here looking at prospects as well. So, Minotaur, again, you are driving the membership here all by your lonesome, and we very much appreciate you. If you guys get one of the gifted memberships, make sure you check it out, because you get to have some fun here in the chat. You can easily upgrade to the rookie status and above, which gets you the extra content, all the videos, all the rants, all the game notes. Although I didn't make game notes this week. Sorry, folks. I had meant to, but timing of the flights just didn't work out. But you get all of our extra content, as well as access to the Discord. And that's where you get to be part of the interior of Rogue Nation, which is just our GR members. And we like keeping it that way. So if you're interested, grab one of those free ones from Minotaur, and we appreciate you, brother. Toad Sage, please wax poetical about my favorite number 22. I'm going to let you do this, because otherwise I'm going to be called like a stalker or something.
No, I mean, it is what it is. We all love Trent McDuffie. I think Trent McDuffie's ability in the slot this season, honestly, I think he gets underrated as an outside receiver. I think that he got put into the All-Pro list as a slot corner, but that's a fun sound.
And my hotel's on fire. I'm going to let you take this for a minute. I'm going to see what's going on.
Well, Trent McDuffie is a fantastic player. And I think at the end of the day, what we're seeing is his ability to change direction and use his intelligence, and honestly, keeping his eye on the ball allows him to play off like that and then click and close on the football. So I'm really excited about what he's going to do in this defense, because he still hasn't reached his potential. He's not as good yet as he's going to be, especially learning from L'Jarius Sneed. So everything that we're seeing from Trent McDuffie, making an all-pro list, is maybe he will eventually get to having some interceptions, but the fact that he still turns the ball over at a high rate is fantastic, especially with those forced fumbles. So with Ryan gone, it's going to be a little bit harder for me to find the question. So right now, I'm going to go over into the starred category, and we'll kind of get some of these through. I'm going to go back over to the live comments and see what I can do every now and then. But Tommy, Toad Stage, Tommy, thank you for the 199. If needed, could we have scored in the second half? I don't know. I don't think they could have. Based off of everything that I saw, I didn't see enough from their offense, and they really did give up as soon as it went to anything that had to do with like a second and long, third and long. They kind of just gave up on that. So I don't really know if they had a game plan for anything else, but at the end of the day, they didn't need to, and it's a good thing they didn't need to. If they needed to, maybe they had something else. But from what I saw from the offense, if they wanted to score with what they were putting out there, that wasn't enough to do it. Appreciate the support, Tommy. William, thank you for the $4.99. What is different from last year's 49ers defense under DeMeco Ryans to this year's defense under Wilkes? Pacheco game. So I think the big difference is we're seeing a little bit less disguises, a little bit less pure all-out blitzes. D'Amico was a much more creative blitzer. He was a much more creative play caller, designer for the defense, and they did a good job at the end of the game, forcing Jared Goff to see something that wasn't there. We don't see a ton of disguises from them based off what I've seen. I could also be wrong about that. So I don't study their defense in depthly to know all of the ins and outs. So I would say that D'Amico is a much more creative and better blitzer than what we're seeing right now with the San Francisco team. And definitely could be a Pacheco game. I think that they have to. I think they have to have him do quite a bit more in this game to be able to continue to keep up and keep pace, to be able to do what they want to do at the end of the day. Thank you for that, William. I appreciate your support. Scuba Steve, thank you for the 5. What do you think of Purdy? He looked good yesterday. I think he is top 10 easily. I think that Brock Purdy is a system quarterback. And that's, again, not to give him any disrespect. I think he's a fantastic system quarterback for the 49ers. He's a limited arm. He's not the best, he doesn't have the best arm talent. He can get it downfield. It really just kind of stays up there. It floats, but the hard throws you have to make to the outside, typically those are more timing and anticipation based, which he does well. But if he has to really arm it there, no, he can't really do that. And I don't agree, Jesus. I think that Jimmy G is not better than Purdy specifically in this offense. He's definitely not. He does much better of taking care of the ball. Now he's been turning the ball over a little bit more lately, but that's because of defenses doing a good job of forcing him into positions where he's not comfortable. But I think that the biggest thing that he adds to this offense that he creates that is not with there, that the 49ers didn't have before, is the off-script stuff that we saw. He can get out of the pocket. He's a good enough athlete. I mean, I would say he's a good athlete for a quarterback. He's a little bit smaller, but he can get out and be mobile, make guys miss in the pocket. And then you saw yesterday, he's able to take what's there when he has a lane up the middle. Out to the right, out to the left, probably not going to be as much. But if he has a clear lane forward, he provides them with the ability to move the chains with his legs. So he's a system quarterback that adds a dynamic to the offense that they did not have with Jimmy G.
I'm only going to unmute for a minute. Looks like we are being evacuated, so I am going to drop off for a little bit, Daniel. And
All
thank
right.
you very much for manning the shop.
All right. Have fun.
Plenty of starred ones, and I'll try to get back in here as soon as I can.
We'll take it from here, guys. All right. So while Ryan's building is on fire, apparently, we'll find out what happens there. And like I said, guys, I'm going to do my best here to manage the chat and get to the questions. I'm going to do what I can, but we don't have the technology that we usually do, so it'll be a little different. So if you guys do have questions that you desperately want answered, then you'll have to super chat. I'm not going to be able to get to everything because I just won't see a lot of these comments. We got 788 people in here tonight. I'll do my best to get through what I got. So appreciate you, Scuba Steve, for that support, and I hope that answers your question, how I feel about Brock Purdy. Debbie, thank you for the 1999. How concerned are you with the loss of Amenahue and possibly Tooney and Gray? So, first off, thank you very much for the support. Greatly appreciated. And I'm quite concerned with the loss of Amenahue. He's an added dynamic pass rusher that we saw when they rushed 4 against the Baltimore Ravens. He got home. He got that strip sack. I don't believe that Mike Dana and Malik Herring can offer that to this defense. Now, they do have a good rotation. They're going to have to specialize some things differently. They're going to have to move players around a little bit differently. They will have some favorable matchups on everybody outside of Trent Williams. So I still have confidence that they can get pressure, and especially because they're going to be blitzing. So at the end of the day, you just kind of have to deal with it. I think that they can also pass rush with, Leo Chanel. So there is something there. Tooney, I think Nick Allegretti can play well once again. So I'm less worried about that. It would always be great to have the all-pro guard there, but unfortunately, you don't have that situation. And I think Willie's going to be okay in 2 weeks. I think he is. If not, it's far less of a problem when you're not dealing with Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. So that's all I'll say. But thank you very much for the support. Always appreciated. Terry, thank you for your question. What positions are your top priority while you guys are in Mobile? So since I have, the podcast now for Cover One, you guys didn't know, I work over with Cover One for a weekly draft podcast. I will be doing everything. I will be, watching as much as I possibly can. I've done a lot of work with the wide receivers, so my top priority is watching a lot of the receivers, a lot of the corners, getting to the offensive line and the defensive line. That's pretty much where my priorities lie. I'll get some quarterback watching in. I'll get some linebackers, some running backs, some safety here and there. But my priorities are cornerback, wide receiver, offensive line, and defensive line. Thank you, Terry. Doug, thank you for your question. PI or not, thoughts on the great interception by Deion Bush? I've seen this a few times. In there. So yeah, we'll talk a little bit about this. No, I don't believe that was pass interference. You've got 3 players there. You think that he can go through all those players and make a play on the ball? Because I don't. Plus, he was only kind of rerouting him. The big thing here is that Isaiah Likely wasn't really fighting to get back to the ball. You know what I mean? He was just kind of being rerouted at the top of his route, and it was undercut by Deion Bush anyway. So it's a fantastic read on him. It's also a terrible decision by Lamar. Lamar thought he had something he didn't have. They went quick snap. He thought that he was going to catch the Chiefs off guard. Everyone was in position. There was no fooling them. So I wasn't, I don't think that there was anything to say that they had, pass interference there. So thank you for that, Doug. Michael, thank you for your question. What are your thoughts on KC Media who picked Chiefs to lose? Sorry, Dan, it's fine. Like Soren Petro or what I call red, gold, and fold. Why pick against the Chiefs? Well, I think we all need to be honest. And I'll tell you right now, I thought the Ravens were a better team for like all of the season than the Chiefs. So I'm not going to sit here and say that I picked against the Chiefs because I just, I wanted to. I legitimately thought the Ravens would win. That's why. I want to give you guys honest opinions and not just always pick who I want to win. Obviously I want the Chiefs to win, but I'm not going to sit here and try to, sugarcoat if I think someone's going to win or if I think the Chiefs don't really have a shot or if I don't think they're going to win. Like, I'm just going to give you guys my honest opinions whenever I possibly can. Try to be as authentic as possible. Thank you, Michael. William, thank you for your question. Any chance we see Brian Cook in the Super Bowl? I don't think so. I think we got pretty good word that he was not going to be activated for the postseason. So no, I don't think he's going to be playing in this game. He's probably done, until next OTAs and training camp, things like that. So hopefully he's going to have enough time to get fully healthy and ready to go for next season. I think that's the priority right now. All right. I'm doing my best here to get through our starred questions and check back over with the other chat to see, who's got questions and stuff like that. So, Doug, thank you for reminding everyone to take really one quick second and hit the like button. It really does help us out, and it works for everybody. It helps get this Chiefs channel out to everybody that wants to know more about the Chiefs, that love what we do here. And thank you very much, Doug. Always helps. Tom, thank you for your super chat. Do we get the Raiders locker room? Are we home team in the Super Bowl? I don't know. Actually. I don't really know how that's going to work. I'd be very interested to see if the Chiefs are going to be able to get the home team because they haven't lost in Las Vegas since the Raiders opened that up. So that would be very interesting. I'm hoping we get to see if they do because that, again, it'd be a lot of fun to be in their home area. So thank you for putting that into my head now because now I can't stop thinking about it, Tom. Thank you very much. All right. 786 y'all in here. You guys are fantastic. I love you guys. You guys are just the best. Jesus, thank you for the 20. Thank you, Raiders, for beating the Chiefs in a game that didn't matter, but making the Chiefs odds to the Super Bowl 10-1. Guess who took that bet? Love the shit. Just get some hand claps in the chat for Jesus for betting it on the Chiefs to get to the Super Bowl after they lost to the Raiders because, honestly, I think that was the moment for the Chiefs where you hit rock bottom, where you couldn't do anything against the Raiders, where they couldn't move the ball. They couldn't really do much on offense. They finally started getting going. They turned it around, and they really started to do that. So I'm with you, Jesus. I think that the Raiders really got them to rock bottom because after that, they really started to win. And I'm absolutely with you guys. For those of you that are coming in here and asking where Ryan is, well, Ryan's hotel's actually on fire. Apparently, we don't really know, but we do know that he's having some problems. The hotel's having problems. They're evacuating for whatever reason. We'll find out, I'm sure, if he ever does get back in here. But thank you very much, Jesus, for your support and letting everyone know that you were able to make some money off these Chiefs. That's fantastic work. Not one more inch. Thank you for the 5. Has Karlaftis exceeded your expectations? Has he reached his ceiling? If not, how much better do you think he can get? So, yes, George Karlaftis this season exceeded my expectations of what he could be this year. It's fantastic. The clean win he had yesterday, where he swiped the hands away and then he put his feet in the dirt and then cornered. That's when you get down that line after you win, you're able to put your feet in the dirt and then get down the line. That was something that I didn't see at all on his tape. Like, he didn't have that. So I was very impressed by that win, and he's been a much better run defender. He's been hugely physical and imposing his will on tight ends, on tackles, on fullbacks, all of that. So I don't think that right now he's at his ceiling because he has gotten better over the last 2 years. So we know that he's a hard worker. He's been working with Tom Bahali on getting his hands, and I still don't think his hands are up to par to where they could be. So yeah, I think that he could still become a better player. But I think we're talking about a guy who's going to be like a legit number 2 pass rusher in terms of defensive end. I don't think he'll be a legit number 1. Like, if you look at Aiden Hutchinson, he's a legit 1. Just legit, will win all the time. I don't think that's in George Karlaftis' future, but a really, really good number 2 that can really help your pass rush. And we've seen him do that. So there is still room for him to get better. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate you. Ryan is experiencing a warm front moving. That's, you're probably right about that. Dr. Ozzy, thank you for your question. Andy made it seem like KT will be practicing this week. Surprising to you? A little bit? It's a little surprising. But again, I don't have a clue what goes on behind those closed doors, y'all. Like, I have no idea what goes through his head. And he gets on, and just does some crazy stuff every now and then. And I can't answer what Kadarius Toney does. But I can't explain it. I can't explain what he's been doing lately. Him coming out saying that the Chiefs are lying about his injuries. Then Andy Reid today saying that no, they're not lying. He has been injured. I can't tell you what goes on, man. All I know is that if he's out there practicing, he's out there practicing. And if he can play, awesome. I don't know. I got nothing else, man. I got nothing else for this Kadarius Toney fella. Thank you, Simon, for your super chat. What is your max on Sneed and Jones? So I think realistically we can say that Chris Jones is going to want upwards of, $28-30 million. Right? That seems about what he's going to want for his long-term contract. He wants 4 or 5 years. I think at this point we're seeing a guy who's, turns it on when he wants to. I'm not paying top dollar for that myself. I think 25 is more than enough per year. But at the end of the day, we can only hope that he would want to play in Kansas City for that. I don't think that that's realistic for the Chiefs, but you never know. Sneed, max, probably 19. Probably 19 is what I'd still be comfortable paying him. $19 million a year. Since he didn't get the Pro Bowl or the All-Pro honors, like, it's going to be a little bit more tough for him. But I think I think I'm comfortable with that. I'll be honest. I appreciate your super chat. I would pay Sneed over Chris Jones, though. I'll be honest. Oh, whoop. We good?
Okay. So welcome back to the show, everyone.
He's not on fire, luckily.
Fire department is here, though. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you, Mobile Fire Department.
Hey, fast responders.
Yeah, appreciate that. So, sorry to interrupt you, buddy.
No, you're good. I was just going over here to Justin.
Ah,
Justin's just happy I'm wrong. I'm happy I'm wrong too. Like and I'm gonna pick on you, Justin, a little bit here. Like when people were asking me, why are you picking against the Chiefs? What happens if they lose? Or I mean, what happens if they end up winning? What are you gonna do there? I'll happily eat that delicious crow. Thank you very
right.
much. Like again, I'll go back to it. I'm gonna give you guys my honest opinions. I'm not just gonna I want the Chiefs to win, so I'm always going to predict them to win. That's not how I operate, and I don't ever want to operate that way. I want to give you guys honest opinions because if I can show that, that's all that I really want to be. I don't want to be a fake anything. I don't want anything I do to be fake or feel like I'm just putting on a show. I want you guys to have authenticity. That's what I'm about.
And honestly, that's the way that I've always approached it as well. That's what this channel is. Gary's not going to pull any punches. Seth isn't going to pull any punches. Dan's not going to pull any punches. Neither am I. If the truth's the truth, and that's how we see it, we're going to prepare you for what we think is a possibility. And remember, we were split, so that's how close it was. Because sometimes he's going to see things differently than I do, and sometimes I'm going to be the naysayer and be like, I don't know if they can get this done.
Yeah,
But we're always happy when they do, especially when we think it's a tightrope, and this certainly
exactly,
was.
exactly. Thank you for helping there.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, I'm here. And Justin, thank you. I know you're just, giving a little bit of stack. It's always a good time, right? But yeah, in all honesty, like we're not going to sugarcoat stuff for you. We're not the fan channel that's just going to tell you what you want to hear. We're going to tell you the truth and what you got to watch out for. Joseph, nice to see you. Thank you for your support. Sorry, Dan, I don't mean to just jump in and take over. I'm a little antsy there.
No, go for it. You're good. You're good. My throat's starting to get a little sore anyway.
I heard Roma Dune say only wants to play for the AFC champion. I kind of dig that idea, by the way, Joe. I can't believe that they are back in the Super Bowl. I thought that they would be bounced in the first round. So glad I was wrong. And honestly, I think that we all are. There's always a path through, right? So it's just of all the things that they had to deal with this year, the tackles, the wide receivers, just back and forth, and playing rookies. I mean, I think one thing that I shouldn't be forgetting, but we are, is they lost a guy in Brian Cook that had stepped into a starting role and as a second-year player and had locked that thing down. So
Yeah.
just that transformation had to be a hurdle. And so all these things are just branches that can knock you off of your course, and it's very challenging. And I like where your head's at about Adunze. I'd love to see him fall to like 18. I think that's within the reach of the Kansas City Chiefs, but it is what it is.
Just keep tweeting it out, Joseph. Eventually, people will maybe start believing it. You never know.
Yeah. Maybe he'll see it. Maybe you only should play Rome. You really should only play for the AFC champion. I'm just saying. Flapjack, thank you, buddy, and thank you, Joseph. Just let Leo pass rush. Problem solved.
Sure, I'm good. As long as Willie Gay's going to play, yeah, I'm in. I'm in.
As long as he doesn't have to corner too much, I think he's going to be all right because he's going to crush that pocket. If you line him up in a wide nine, much like you're going to have to do with FAU as well, he'll come downhill at you. So I'm more than good with that.
Anybody that's not Trent Williams, he will put into Brock Purdy's lap. Anybody that's not Trent Williams. So yes, I'm okay with this.
I'm down as well. Corey, do you guys think that the Spags versus Purdy / Shanahan is the most important matchup? It's up there. Is it the most important? I don't know. Debo can break stuff off, man. Here's what they're going to do, and just to preview what I'll probably say exactly the same thing next week. Kyle Shanahan is going to manufacture matchups for Debo Samuel against the linebackers, and that is on purpose to hurt them. And it does make me a little bit concerned. If Willie's not out there, you probably want to play Trank inside. That could become the one, Corey. I don't know what you think, Dan.
Well, I remember Debo Samuel getting a lot of run in the first Super Bowl matchup with, Anthony Hitchens at linebacker. You guys remember that? A much less athletic linebacker that can't cover ground. I think that the Chiefs have better speed and athleticism at linebacker than they did in that Super Bowl. And I'll be honest, Debo is still the same player that he was. He is. He's the exact same player. I mean, I would say he does the exact same things. The exact same things. He's a good, not great route runner, but he's used in the backfield and misdirection and gets the ball in space and makes guys miss. So I think that them having some experience there will help them. because Debo did have some big plays in the run game in that game. So you have to be disciplined. You have to stay in your rush lanes. You can't think you know what's going on until you see it unfold. So yes, I think Debo can hurt them, but if you can get to Purdy and make his night a living hell, essentially, then yes, in my opinion, it's the most important matchup. Whatever Spags has in the bag, he's going to be just kind of opening it up,
Sprinkling from the
and
sky.
let it all fall down.
Remember all that stuff we've been talking about all season that we wanted to see? It's all going to come out in the next 4 quarters, probably. I don't know. Maybe there's some half-baked ideas in there. Geoc226, thank you for the 8 months of your support. We very much appreciate it. And let's go. How about those Chiefs to the Super Bowl? Didn't think we'd be saying that.
Yeah.
But, hey, you got to enjoy it while you got it, right?
Doesn't that taste
honestly,
sweet?
let the Eagles dig it. Let the Ravens, any bird team in this league, let them enjoy.
Let them all.
This.
Yeah, right.
Napoleon, who from this wide receiver room will be in that room next year? Rasheed, Sky, possibly Ross, possibly James, in my opinion.
I think possibly Watson instead of James, but
possibly.
Honestly, I'd be totally okay if it was just Rashee Rice, Sky Moore, and maybe one other person, and just kind of just retooling it.
Reboot.
But realistically, I think Kadarius, Tony, MVS are gone, and they're going to bring 2 other players in.
Yeah, I think you're most likely correct. And I know everybody's going to say, "Oh, Sky Moore." Yeah, Sky hasn't had the impact that you wanted. Sky's on a rookie contract. They're going to let him grow into it just like they do every other rookie, because that's just silly to walk away from at this point when he still has potential. Should we be concerned with Creed snaps at all? I saw one that was a little bit off target. Did I miss something else? Was it a series?
Once it started to get rainy in the second half, it got a little bit worse. We've seen it be a problem kind of at weird times throughout the season, but not really a problem against the Bills. And I think that the rain played a factor in this one myself.
Okay. Debbie J, I see you. Thank you. We're coming to you, I promise.
Yes, we are.
KL, nice to see you, buddy. Thanks for the support. 9 targets, 3 receptions, 21 yards, 114 coverage snaps, 0 TDs. Watson and Williams have been nails these 3 games. How does everyone on this D turn it on? It's because they're coached up from every single level. You have a guy that could take over tomorrow. If Spags got hit by a bus, and coach, I'm not trying to suggest that. If Spags had to retire tomorrow, Dave Merritt can run a defense. He can be a defensive coordinator. Joe Cullen can be a defensive coordinator right now. Joe Cullen can probably be a head coach. Let's be real.
Yeah.
Brendan Daly is probably right on the verge of being able to run an entire defense and be a coordinator himself. It's that level of coaching that is here. And I do think that that's how you've seen guys come and grow at every single level of this defense.
Yeah. And while Williams and Watson still aren't quite there
consistent
yet, they're not quite there yet. They are being put in positions to succeed. And like Ryan said, you can attribute that right to the coaches.
Yeah. And knock on wood, should be able to, continuing to go forward. Thanks, Kale. Appreciate you. Travis, if you're Spags, what film do you start watching first on the Niners? Do you watch their losses? Spags' game planning has been unreal in these playoffs. I would love to be able to fly on the wall. I mean, I don't know Spags personally, never met the man. I have met a couple of people who have coached for him at different points along the way. And most of my contacts were admittedly when everyone, including myself, was much younger. But as I understand the philosophy of most winning coordinators, and what I think is probably going on, is they're going to go watch his great games and they're going to take something away. And they're going to plan to thwart what he does best or what he had the most success with. Most likely in the last half of the season, the last 8 games or so. I don't know they'll go all the way back to the beginning of the season, although that's what you have quality control coaches for. So, but I think they're going to take what's explosive and what works from them and take that away. And they're going to figure out how to confuse and attack Purdy himself.
The last 2 months. Look at what they've been doing the last 2 months. Teams typically wait until after the bye to solidify what they're going to use with their offense going forward. So the last 2 months of the season are what I would start at and what I would imagine they're going to be watching for the next week and week plus.
I'm with you. Thanks, Travis. Great question. Steven, good question from you as well. One of our members. Nice to see you, buddy. Would you say that Xavier is worthy of a first-round pick? I think he's borderline.
At 32? Yeah.
Yep, that's what I like to hear. At 32 is what we're talking about. The value proposition is these days, folks. I would easily feel comfortable saying top 50, though. Would you?
Yeah, he's comfortably in the top 50 for me.
Yeah, me too. Whether he sneaks in the first, it's a possibility. I do like what he brings. There's a couple of other guys that are kind of that speed marauder type guy that might be able to add a little bit of the Tyreek Hill dimension back into the offense. He's not alone. I think there'll be a guy a round or two behind him and Cowing from Arizona that might be as well. Although I don't know if you're down on him, Dan, or you just think I'm over hyped on him.
On who? I'm sorry.
Cowing from Arizona.
I think it's a little overhyped. I don't think he's the type of speed guy. I think he's a quick player. I don't think he's that type of speed for this offense. But
okay,
get open quick, sure.
Yeah, we'll find out. Will, thank you. Appreciate you. That game-changing Ayuk catch is an interception versus the Chiefs. Most likely. But Ayuk's a hell of a player. We have seen RDBs at times get their hands on it and not come down with it either. So you never quite know.
Yeah, you can't guarantee anything. If it bounces in any which way, you never really know.
Yeah. Steven, thank you. Here's 10. Give us your best dad jokes.
I don't even have any.
Shoot. I have a book of them at home because my kids love to give them to me and I never use them. Yeah.
I'll be honest. On the top of my head, Steven, I appreciate the support very much. But off the top of my head, like I'm not someone that can just spout off dad jokes. I have to we have to be doing something and then, oh, well, that's funny, do something like that. Like it doesn't just, I'm not a comedian. I can't just pull these things out of my head.
Most of my jokes end in a cuss word. So that's not really the thing that I do. But Steven, thank you. And I'll come back next Monday and I will have one for you. I will find one. I'll have my book available. How's that?
There we go.
Thanks, buddy. Casey Mo, I may have missed it if you already covered it. Tony's future after accusations against the teams. Andy refuted it pretty hard today, I felt. Just trying to set the record straight, but it definitely feels like the bridge isn't burnt, but it's smoldering. It might be on fire.
I mean, your building was on fire, so it wouldn't shock me. It wouldn't shock me. I believe he's not going to be on the team next year. I don't believe it.
I kind of believe that as well. Let's see where it goes. Chris, thank you, buddy. Who replaces Brad Tillis? Absolutely no one. He is a one of one in this league, and the Chiefs would not be in this position now or last year or the year before that if it wasn't for Brad Tillis. The Panthers have made multiple runs at him for exactly that reason, and finally they must have thrown enough money at it that it made it worth his time taking a chance on a team that I'm not sure the talent is there for success yet. I do think that Bryce Young is salvageable for the right coaching staff. And I do think that front office has a lot of work to do outside of that. But you can't replace it. It takes a guy that understands the game, and it takes a guy that understands the mathematics, and so it takes a guy that has instinct about structural integrity of a deal that will hold up over time. He is the guy who came up with a lot of the structure of the Pat Mahomes deal, and look what that's doing for this team. There are very few teams that can pay a quarterback anywhere close to this and be in the position that they're in.
Yeah, it's going to take it's going to take a village. It's going to take a lot of people figuring it out. There's just no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Thank you for that one, Chris. A good question. Pat is the GOAT. Knicks fan, I'm with you. I'm comfortable saying that. I know I'll have an argument with some Tom Brady fan, and reasonably so. But I personally feel in terms of what he's able to do, and it's funny that this week there's going to be a lot of conversation about it. I still feel in terms of actual quarterbacking, situational awareness, not relying on the elite teammates. I still feel Joe Montana was a better quarterback than Tom Brady was. Maybe that's because I got to see him live, and a lot of people having these discussions today didn't. But Pat's going to be right in there, and it's going to come down to Pat and Tom in the end. And I think we're approaching maybe more quickly than I thought, Dan, that Patrick will be winning that argument. Yeah,
we'll see. Obviously, GOAT status is immortalization, and Tom Brady has 7 rings. That's tough. That's going to be tough to get to that point. But I think we all understand that Patrick Mahomes is a better quarterback than Tom Brady in terms of actual quarterbacking. Now, Tom Brady at his stage in his later career was a better processor. He knew the game better, but that's going to come with time. Like you've seen everything. You don't have to worry so much about what's happening. So Pat will get there eventually, and he's already a better player. There's no question about that he's a better quarterback than what Tom Brady was. And in a few years, he'll get to the point where he's seen everything and just continue to get better and better and better. And the GOAT status for me is not about who is a better quarterback. It's about who accomplished more. And right now, he's on that trajectory. Let's just be honest. He is.
Agreed. I completely agree with you. Casey, thank you very much for spreading the wealth. For another 5 memberships given out to subscribers. We appreciate you guys. For you subs, I've never turned this on yet, but we're experimenting with it on Locked On Chiefs, where because of the trolls and things that I see are going on there, where we only let subscribers comment in the lives. Considering that, let me know what you think before. I'll take your opinions into consideration before we ever do anything. But Casey's spreading this to not just have a subscriber, but to have a member base. And Casey, we very much appreciate you for this. I hope you guys are digging it. It'll get you into the base level. You'll have more fun in here. You'll get icons and emojis and that kind of stuff. And then you can upgrade if you want to the extra content levels, which are rookie and above. Starters get our member streams. And then the elites, we do one-on-ones and Zooms and that kind of thing when appropriate. Thank you, Casey. Thank you, Speedy. Purdy's first NFL throw was versus us when he came in for Jimmy. And if you look at that last drive when Thornhill got the pick to end it, looks exactly the same as when Hamilton got the pick versus the 49ers. I had no idea. I have not looked at those plays. I don't know how long, Dan.
I'll be honest with you. I haven't looked at them. It's been a while. But that's a cool little thing you got there, Frankie. I appreciate the little information, little insight there. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, you're knocking me out because I didn't know. I haven't even considered that. Thanks, Speedy. Appreciate you. James, thank you. Looking for Leggett, Rice, and Devontae at the Senior Bowl to rise. I think they're second and third rounders. I do feel that Tez is. I think Rice might be lower than that. Leggett, I have not watched yet. I purposely stayed away because I have some scars. I got to tell you, I have some Rattler bias that I need to make sure that I take out of the equation fully. Although he did come in at I think under 9-inch hands today, and some people are already complaining about it.
Who did?
Leggett.
Under 9-inch hands. That's interesting.
Yeah, I think that. I saw somebody complaining about. I don't know if that's legit. I'm just going off of what I saw. I haven't seen.
We'll have to look.
Yeah, that would be interesting. I don't think that's a cancellation for a wide receiver, but it definitely would be something worth looking at if that is actually true. Again, I don't know, folks.
Yeah,
but I like where you're going, James. Do you agree with that? Second, third, day 2 guys, all 3 of them?
I don't think Rice is. I think Rice is a day 3 guy, like round 4. And right now, Devontae is right on that fringe for me. He's got a lot to show for him to be up there for me, but I think Leggett is on the verge of being a first-round pick for me.
Rock and roll. And Dan's done a ton of work on wide receivers that I have not begun to yet. I've been a casual wide receiver guy this year. I'm on the defensive side. You guys know that. Tony, Dan, it just hit me, but I think people are going to be shocked about how many points the Chiefs beat the Niners by.
That's a bold call, Tony. I love where your head's at. I'm not there yet myself. I don't think this is just going to be a blowout. I don't see that happening. It's going to be a tough fought game, I think, and we'll find out obviously when it gets there. But at the end of the day, it's one game. Anything could happen. I personally don't think that's going to happen though.
We're going to give you our predictions coming up in 2 Fridays on the Game Plan live stream. Be back here before then, but definitely for then. Thank you, Tony. Appreciate you. Debbie, thank you for the spot. Debbie. Always welcome. Do you think Andy will put the game plan together tour or leave it be a combo of Andy and Nagy? Oh, together. It's always, and it's not just Andy and Nagy. It's always a full staff buildup. The question for me, Dan, is like, when they do disagree, I think they end up putting a little bit of each guy's preference in, particularly Nagy and Andy, to Debbie's question. But I wonder if that leaves enough room for the basics, for the duo concepts and the mans and the pin pulls that we know we need to see that don't always get as much attention as they have the last few weeks.
Well, remember in the Bills game, right, where they had Andy had said after the game that there was so much left on their game plan that they didn't use. So they have all those ins and outs and different ways to be able to get after a team, and then they can go through, take out what they don't use, and then keep going if they need to keep getting deeper into their playbook. So I think that they do a good job of giving themselves multiple avenues if they're seeing this on the defensive side. If this is working on the offense, they can keep going here. Or if they need to change something up, I think they always have really a good way of adjusting there. So I think that they do a really great job of giving themselves multiple avenues to go on the offensive side.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I'm going to tell you this, too. I think this last week, and I think certainly coming up against the Niners, I think Andy Heck's going to have a little bit more input than maybe he does in the regular season as well, because it's going to be such a key to the game is making sure that the front is squared away and that Allegretti can repeat this performance with as much support and communication as possible. It's going to be a big deal. So I do think that it will be, a full staff. Honestly, the players get the next couple of days off. The staff doesn't. They're going to be putting that game plan together right now. The guys will be sleeping in the office the next couple of days. We will not. But Debbie, thank you for your support. We will continue to sleep when we can down here and keep looking at prospects for you guys and for the Chiefs. Scott, which Chief Scout is the most important to ensure this week is a success in Mobile? His name's Pat Sperduto, and he is the guy on the ground that runs most of it. Ryan Nutt is the coordinator, but it all comes down to Brett Veach and Mike Bergonzi, who luckily we have not heard any rumors about leaving. It really is a full staff get up. But if you ever meet Pat Sperduto or you hear him speak, he's the guy that kind of runs the younger crew a lot, which is a volume process. And I think a lot of it starts there.
Brian would know more than me. We'll just say that.
Maybe we'll fix that soon. Doug, can Tranquil, Dan, Tranquil is the dude. Great pickup by Beach. What is your, how key is that?
Drew Tranquil has been, one of the most impactful signings that they've had, if not the most impactful signing. What he's been able to do, play and be clutch. He was maybe their best defensive player yesterday. Collectively throughout the whole game, Drew Tranquil might have been their best guy. So, he and Justin Reed are at the top. I think you can include L'Jarius even with his busts, his coverage busts. Chris Jones had impactful takeaway. He took away an entire drive by himself. There are multiple players that continue to step up in key moments, but I think that the leveling factor that Drew Tranquil has, where he comes in and he's just always the same guy, always. He lifts himself up, but you never really see him be in a bad position. That's reliability, and it's he's just in the right system that he needs to be back next year. I don't think that there's any way that he should be making it towards that free agency. He should be extended before it happens.
And Cole, I see your comment in there. I do think that the game plan will be to keep Drew Tranquil and return him on probably more than a single-year contract would be my guess. Thanks, Doug. Appreciate you as always, buddy. Nice to see you. Cody, who steps up in for 90 and who steps up for the D? Thanks, Cody. We talked about this at the top. It really probably will be a mix. Is there a possibility you go out and sign Frank in? If he's viable and he's in shape, which, Frank claims to always be in shape, I don't see why you wouldn't. It should be inexpensive and it should be something that bolsters, but they do feel that they have the bodies on this roster right now. Anything we forgot before now?
No, I just think that I think we did cover it for the most part, but at the end of the day, I'd like to see Leo Chanel come in here a little bit and get some of there. But again, if they do bring Frank Clark back, which would be something to look at, there's another player to put in that rotation. And just so you 49er fans know, keep it civil, keep it nice, or I will ban you. Period.
Me too. That's it. You can't come in here stirring that chat up. I'm just going to say, you want to talk ball, but keep it to it like this. I don't know if you want to. Oh, this is for you. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Did you want to address this one?
Yeah, I did. You guys go back to the live stream on Friday before the game. I said the Chiefs would lose to the Ravens 20-17. That's what I called. Now, don't forget, I called this how many points the Chiefs would score. I called that correctly, okay? That was real. It was true. It was factual. I just didn't get how many the Ravens would score.
There's two sides to every coin. It makes it a challenge. Thanks, Real. Daryl, thank you, buddy. Where are all the people that wanted Nagy gone now? That's a good question. we tried to explain at the time. I think I told you guys when he came back, the run game's going to get changed. It's going to get a little bit more creative. I think that's still true, especially some of the pin pull stuff that they did, pulling Creed multiple times. Love Creed on the move. You just don't see centers do that often because it's so fast in there at center already. But to get your ass out of there and actually get on the move is really difficult. Kudos to him. I know everybody's a little concerned with the snapping, but I think Creed's playing as good as he ever has as well.
Yeah, I agree. I would like to see them do some wipe as well. I think that they've done a really nice job of integrating that into their offense. And based on how the defense is lined up, they have a lot of different ways to get to their power and gap concepts, which I'm really liking right now.
And Daryl, I'm not trying to say that it is all Nagy, but Nagy's influence is the creative part, and that does come over to the run as well.
Yeah.
Chiefs, Knicks fan, thank you, buddy. I agree with you, Joe Montana as well. Yeah, people forget if you didn't see him live, there's just something about it because of the era change between Joe and Tom. Tom being a contemporary, at least at the end of Patrick, it's a little bit easier to be apples and apples. Mm-hmm. That era with Rice and Montana was just a different style of football, honestly. So, welcome, Mo. I'm glad you got signed up for yourself as well after you gifted everybody. We very much appreciate you, buddy. Welcome to it. And we're going to end, I think, tonight on Joseph's. Thank you, Mr. Hooper. I'm going to the Shrine Bowl game this week. Anyone I should pay special attention to? I have not looked in depth at their roster. I know Jason Bean's there, Rock Chalk. I think Jason's got a chance to be a bit player in the NFL and get a role. I actually feel he can be a backup quarterback. But I do think that there's also a possibility that he could catch passes and just be a weapon. Who do you like out there, or do you have anybody off the top of your head?
Go watch Malik Washington, wide receiver out of Virginia. This guy is built. Be careful. Don't take this and just run away with it, okay? He's built like Tyreek Hill. He looks just like him on the field. Like shoulder pads stacked, like he's a shorter guy, but he is jacked and he's got a lot of moves. Malik Washington is a guy that I am very high on out of the small sample size that I have. So he's a guy that I would tell you to go watch.
You can now officially color Chiefs Kingdom triggered. Well done, Dan. Folks, that's going to do it for us. We're going to get out the door. Dan's got stuff to do. I got to get to bed. There's a number of things. Maybe not necessarily in that order. We'll see. But we are going to do our best to cover the event down here as well as get ready for the Chiefs Super Bowl. Again, it is a special task that not many people have to deal with doing both at the same time. We take it on willingly. So, Dan, I know it's been a hell of a drive for you the last couple of days. Thank you for still doing this tonight, especially when buildings get set on fire inadvertently.
We all got to do what we got to do. I'm having fun. I'm jacked up still. I'm not tired. Like, I'm ready to go, guys. Like, we're in our element here, and I'm having a fantastic time. So we get to cover a team, like Ryan said, that's in the Super Bowl and come here to cover the Senior Bowl. It's a lot of fun. This is why we do it. If you guys are also why we do it, and it's just, it's a great time.
Thank you guys for all your support tonight. All you new members, you can get signed up. You can connect your Discord once you're at rookie level and above over in Discord. Get in there, make your connections in your settings, and put your YouTube ID in, and you'll be set to go. We will have more content for you this week, hopefully on time. It's going to be a little bit shifted because neither of us are at home in the studio, but we're going to work on it. And I will be home. You'll be home Friday, right?
I'll be home Saturday.
You'll be home Saturday. So I will have the stream on Friday afternoon unless Dan gets to a hotel and he feels like doing it. No pressure at all. I got you, though, because I'm going home Thursday night. So thank you guys for being here. Enjoy the rest of the week. Seth, Gary, me, us, everything all at once. Get ready for the Super Bowl. We'll catch you next time.